What's going on when we get off track with our healthy habits, our values, our goals? What happens when we do things that harm us, either immediately or later? How can we get on and stay on track? Stay tuned to find out. Hey everyone, welcome to Becoming an Expert at Self-Leadership. I'm Maika, I'm a psychologist, and in this video I'll explain a great tool for reflection to you to see where you're at in life or any given moment and how and what to change if that's necessary. This tool was developed by Russ Harris and he calls it the choice point. So the best place to start out with this reflection, if you ask me, is to envision what you want your life to be like. You can think of one aspect of your life, your relationships, health, or career, or you can take on more of a bird's eye view that includes many different areas of life. Maybe you've done this before and it's more about remembering than finding new answers. That's great too. The important thing is to reconnect with your values. How do you want to live life? What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want to stand for? What's important to you? And your goals, what exactly could that look like? What are you aiming for? Now, whatever we do at any given moment, whether that's on the inside or on the outside in our behavior, we can either move towards our values and goals or away from them. For example, you may value living wholeheartedly, courageously, and confidently, authentic to yourself. Toward moves could be seizing opportunities, showing up as yourself, doing what matters to you. Away moves could be isolating yourself, numbing, or avoiding situations connected to anxiety or uncertainty. The question is, what is it that pulls you into away moves? And what can help you better stick with towards moves? These are things that happen at the choice point. The moment in which we choose to either move towards or away from our values. The choice point comes up whenever situations change or if certain spontaneous thoughts or feelings come up. For example, critical situations could be new opportunities that, whenever they arise, bring you to the choice point of having to decide whether or not you're going to pursue them. Thoughts that lead you to the choice point could be thoughts like, this will never work, or something's wrong with me. And a critical feeling could be anxiety. So in this example, whenever these three and others pop up, it leads the person to the choice point of having to decide whether or not they're going to move towards their values. Now we come to what I find most genius about this tool, and that is the answer to the question, what is it that pulls us into away moves or keeps us on track with toward moves? And Russ Harris calls what pulls us into away moves getting hooked by our pessimistic interpretation of situations or by unhelpful thoughts or unhelpful feelings. And to stay with toward moves, he explains, we need to learn to stay unhooked from our unhelpful interpretations, thoughts, and feelings. This makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If we're happily walking our path of towards moves and suddenly we notice some anxiety arise and a thought like, the person I really am deep down inside is unlovable, that has immense power to pull us off track. So the choice that we have to make at the choice point is, am I going to allow this belief, this interpretation, this thought, this feeling, this emotion, this impulse, this urge, this sensation to pull me off track or not? Am I going to get hooked by it? Am I going to allow it to jerk me around? In other words, it's really important to learn unhooking skills. And next, I'll share 5 very important ones. Number 1, turn towards your inner world. It all begins with noticing the thoughts and feelings that pull you off track. Often it seems like it was something on the outside that pulled us off track. The reason I lashed out was because I was provoked. I couldn't go on a walk today because the weather was cloudy. I couldn't risk it because success wasn't certain. I had to compromise my values because the other person wanted me to. Increase your awareness of what happens inside you at the choice point. This is what matters. This is what you get hooked by. It's not the provocation, it's getting hooked by anger. It's not the weather, it's getting hooked by the interpretation that cloudy weather is bad. It's not the uncertainty, it's getting hooked by the interpretation that uncertainty is unnatural. It's not the other person, it's you going along with them. Number 2, name what's going on. This is specifically important for emotions, to find a word for the emotion that you're experiencing, but it can also be helpful with thoughts, to name a thought as such. I'm having the thought that something's wrong with me or that this will never work out. Naming what's going on inside our inner world has an immediate calming effect, and it helps tremendously with unhooking. Number 3, disidentify, defuse, unblend. Those words all mean the same thing. From the activated inner part. Whenever an unhelpful thought or emotion comes up in you, it comes from one of the many inner parts you have. And whenever we get hooked by that thought or emotion, it means that we're identified, fused, blended with that inner part. We only see the situation from the eyes of that one inner part, not from our whole, complete selves, the perspective that is called the observer, the inner adult, or our authentic self. You may also not notice a whole inner part, rather a single emotion or thought that's not helpful, and then disidentify, defuse, and unblend from that. Emotions and thoughts are not like inner dictators that we have to obey. They may or may not be important or helpful, and we can make that call. We can decide whether or not we're going to get hooked by them and how much attention we pay them. Number 4, let the inner wave run its course. Whatever it is, an emotion, an urge, a thought, let it run its course. Experience it from your adult, authentic self, the inner observer. Know that it's okay. You can be going through this challenging experience and stay unhooked from it. You don't have to be pulled into away moves, and you also don't have to fight against it, struggle with it, or try to block it away. That's another form of being hooked. You can stay on track with your towards moves and at the same time be accompanied by this emotion, thought, or impulse for a while. And once it has run its course, it fades on its own. Number 5, think it through. Another skill that helps with sticking with toward moves is to think a thought, an emotion, an impulse through, to ask yourself, where will this lead me? Is this a place I want to be? What are the costs and negative consequences of this away move? And what are the rewards and benefits of this toward move? What do you think? This is a great way of reflecting about how we're doing, isn't it? It includes all the relevant factors and boils everything down to one manageable lever, the choice point. If you want to make it likely that you'll see another one of my videos, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be certain, hit the notification bell. Maybe also subscribe to my weekly self-leadership newsletter. Till next time, take care and remember to stay unhooked from unhelpful thoughts and emotions.